Good evening and welcome. We would like to acknowledge that we are working and speaking tonight from the traditional territory of the Fro'im First Nation and Nimki-Waju.
We have not talked to you for a couple weeks,
Nope.
but we have certainly been reading, and I've run into some people around the province at different conferences, traveling at the airports, seeing some people locally here in Thunder Bay. Christy and I would like to just sort of do a little recap on the past module, and then Module 5 mostly, and then thinking about moving forward to Module 6. I'd like to start actually back at Module 4, thinking about the case study, where we asked you to interview your own choice of questions, a school leader that you have access or that you happen to work with. And I have to say, from reading the responses that you had all posted, it was really quite amazing. And I quite enjoyed reading all of that script to think about all those nuggets of leadership experience and learned experience that those leaders shared, not only with you, but then you then in turn shared with all of us. So I just wanted to really thank you for doing such a great job and taking the time to meet with leaders in your region and sharing those excellent pieces of wisdom, advice, and little takeaways. I jotted a few things down myself because I thought, oh, I like that.
And for those of you internationally, we thank you for reaching out to leaders either around you or in Ontario as well. So we appreciate that effort. I just wanted to take a quick moment to comment back on the collaborating FNMI and cultures. Regarding the 2007 document, First Nations Métis Inuit Framework, there were multiple responses that kind of ranged from everything from, yes, we were doing things well on emotional scales, physical scales, spiritual scales. Others were half and half. Some things were working, some things hadn't been implemented yet. And there were a few still that things were just getting off the ground. And so I think it's a really interesting comment on, I think we take for granted that the ministry policy comes out, boards are to implement it, it gets implemented, and then there's not a whole lot of follow-up with what happens to it. But the fact that within our own group there are some really wide disparities of how the FNMI framework has been implemented and how widespread it is just a comment on how to be cognizant of those that come out and what our next steps are for implementation.
We were also wanting to have you think about the fact of building your school improvement plan, and we were looking at data. We looked at data sets from around the world, local, provincial, regional, international, and we saw that there was a variety of information that people pulled out of that. And I noticed just from reading like EQAO, say OSSD data, for instance, different people pulled out different things on the same exact test and what they were looking at and how they documented that and how they looked across 3, 6, 9, 10 in this case. So we found that quite interesting, and I just want to thank you for being so thoughtful with your responses to each other and pushing each other's thinking through some really good questioning. So it was nice to see that.
Yeah.
We are going to be using that data learning as we move forward in the next module, but we just wanted to give you a chance to have some time to muck about in that.
Yes. And just a little further to that, there was definitely some interesting comments regarding EQAO, and I just wanted to always remind ourselves not to look at achievement data in isolation. It also, EQAO in fact provides several other data sets that we can utilize from that test and then other tests, and that includes the attitudinal data, the demographic data, as well as looking at cohorts. So it was neat to see people work on that triangulation to get the whole story.
So as we move forward into the new module, I know we're a couple days into it, we really wanted to think about, or you to think about, how you're now framing yourself as the lead learner in the school. We've set you up through several different scenarios. You've had opportunity to talk to practicing leaders. You've had a chance to dig into some of the documents that frame our actions and our thinking. And so as we move forward, thinking yourself as lead learner, co-learner, those instructional moves and actions that you will engage in. We've looked at some different theories on leadership, and I think a lot of you recognize that while you may lean a bit more in one type of leadership, you recognize that depending on the situation, different theories of leadership drive your actual actions during that time. So if we think about how this course was designed, it really was to provide you with that learning, and then some action, and then more learning, and then more action. So we're going to be moving into the school improvement plan and the PLC design as the big task for this next unit. Did you want to add a bit more on that?
Just that we hope that the course, it was designed to position you as co-learners together, collaboratively working through the modules and learning through the discussion pieces. And so we hope that set you up for a really great exercise in designing learning steps for your next, for your professional folks at your own site.
So with that, we wish you a good next module and look forward to reading those PLC designs. Just a small little piece on assessment. We did just, well, we've got a couple emails and people saying, how are we doing? How are we doing? And when we looked at how we set up the assessment, here's a little reflection piece. But we realized you weren't actually getting any data from us, except through anecdotal data in our comments to you, until Module 5. So we've gone back and broken up the case studies in Module 3, 4, and 5. So if you check in on how you did on the marks, we put marks in there. Well, it's pass-fail. And then I put a little comment to my group about just overall how those were done. And I mean, the quality of work we've been getting has been exemplary. And it's been fascinating to see the different learning and how people are actually challenging their own thinking and challenging each other's thinking. So keep up the good work. You're all doing a great job.
Yeah.
That's not the best feedback, I know. But we have enjoyed the thought and the care that's put into all the responses.
Okay.
So have a great week.
Yes.
We'll talk to you
Enjoy.
soon.
Thank you.